Hey, this is Caffe with BlackRiches.com, showing you how to quit your job, live your passions, and build wealth. Today, I want to talk to you about wealth and how your wealth relates to your health, and how your health relates to your wealth. The ability to, or your probability to be healthy, really depends on your financial resources. And that doesn't mean that the more financial resources that you have, the healthier you'll be. Because at a certain point, your financial resources, you receive what's called diminishing returns, meaning the more wealth you have, you get incremental increase in health. So you just need to have enough financial resources to be healthy enough. And we, as a as a black community, our health, we're suffering in health issues and we're suffering in wealth issues because they're both interrelated. Because a lot of times, well, especially here in America, you need financial resources. That's the blood of our of the system that we have here in America. So we need it, but if we don't understand the finance end of things, then you can't understand how to use those finances, to have those financial resources in order to be able to increase your health or to maintain your health. So, what I wanted to talk to you about is a couple ways that you could go about actually looking to bolster your finances in order to bolster your health. And this all comes down to the idea that if you're working a job, you need to use your job to develop financial independence, and that financial independence can be used to later on help you to build wealth. And this is how everybody has a level of expenses that they that they need to be comfortable. Everybody's developed a certain lifestyle that they feel makes them comfortable. So, in order to free up your time, in order to pursue other things, and one of the big things is pursue, the maintenance or the improvement of your health, is you need your time. But most of the time, you're giving that time away to a job in order to get some money to build a little bit of wealth, or most times we don't even build wealth, but it's just to kind of maintain our lifestyle. So what we need to do is develop a way to use the job to develop financial independence and basically replace the income that we have from our jobs with other streams of income that come in a little bit more automatically and more passively, that don't necessarily require you to uh, exchange your time for a dollar. And this is actually, I'm not going, it's actually simple to do. I'm not saying it's easy to do. I'm saying it's extremely simple to do. I mean, the actual premise of how it's done, or the strategy, the technical aspect of it, is really simple. But what's not so simple is the fact that we are human beings and that we have emotions and we have thoughts and beliefs that will limit our ability to carry out whatever strategy can make that happen for us. And for me, what the way I've decided to kind of replace some of my income is both through businesses and real estate. Because if you don't know, there's three major types of assets here in this country. We have real estate, we have paper assets, which are stocks, bonds, mortgage notes, anything of that nature. And then we have, did I say real estate, paper assets, and then businesses. So where I focus my time is more of the real estate and the paper assets, particular. Oh, I'm sorry, real estate and businesses. Paper assets, I actually don't necessarily like them unless they were talking about mortgage notes, and that's just something I've been recently getting into. But for the most part, I'm really interested in real estate and businesses because I understand it. I really like it. I have a passion for it, so it's easier for me to take the time and to take the time to learn about these investments. So that's part of the way I've decided to go about it. And in the real estate in the real estate arena, one of the things I realized that at the previous where I was previously paying rent, I was paying roughly $820 in rent for like a one bedroom home. And excuse me, with that $820, that was money that was not going towards any sort of asset accumulation. Once I spent that money out, it was gone. That was it. And it was a big amount, man. Especially with the rates being so low now, I could get a mortgage and pay less. Well, I'll talk a little bit about that because you pay less, but you kind of don't pay less in some aspects. It just really depends on the property that you get. But in general, I pay less in my mortgage than I pay in rent, and I'm actually building up equity, which can be used to even purchase more real estate, more investment real estate. So that's part of the way I've decided to go about, developing a wealth strategy in order to improve my health. Because prior to getting my job nearly 3 years ago, I was in the gym about every single day. But over the years, I've went to the gym less and less and less. The first year, I was still gung ho into the gym every single day, well, at least 5, 6 days, even sometimes 7 days. If well, maybe not in the gym, but riding a bike or running or something, some physical activity. And then slowly over time, like around a year and a half to 2 years, I started to go to the gym less and less, and it's just more of my time's been taken up, and I because by the job itself and just through family obligations. So I'm starting to see how over years and even decades of working, my health would decline even more, because naturally as you're getting older, your body's telling you to you've reached your peak and now it's just slowly fading away. And the only way to slow down the signs of aging is basically through your diet, through exercise, and other things which we don't typically associate with health, such as just your psychological well-being. And that could just be spending time with friends and family, or doing other activities that make you happy. But a lot of times, in order to do these things and just to have access to a doctor, or personal trainers, or nutritionists, etc., you need financial resources in order to make it happen. So realizing that I've slowly been moving towards a place where I'm going to gym less and less, and I feel more tired because not only am I getting older, but I'm going to the gym less and less, which will compound the decline of my health. I'm understanding that, hey, I don't want that to happen to me. So I need to develop a program now that will allow me to have more free time to to focus on those things that matter to me, which is my health and which is my wealth, and to align those two goals so they complement each other. So, like I said, with the real estate, when I purchased my duplex, I went from a point where I'm paying $820 a month in rent, and that's like rent, and then they had some other fees built into the rent, such as like pest control and water bill, etc. So that equals up to about $820. And when I bought my duplex, I got to a point where I paid roughly $650 in total, and that includes my mortgage, my homeowner's insurance, and my property taxes. And I have a renter who pays all of that. I mean, their rent for their unit pays all of that. So I went from 820 to paying, well, actually, I pay about $1.51 each month in to cover my home expenses, including the property taxes and the homeowners insurance. But my mortgage is actually totally taken care of by the rental unit. So what that's allowed me to do is be able to have to work less to maintain the same lifestyle. But of course, if I work more, then that also if I still work the same amount of time, and that also allows me more time to pursue. I mean, that allows me more resources in order to purchase other investment properties, which I'm also happy or glad to say today that I just got my second pre-approval, so I could take out I could purchase my second multifamily investment property. So I just got my pre-approval letter from the bank today, so I'm excited about that. And each of these properties that I acquire allows me to first develop uh, a basis from which to a cushion. So if I want to pursue other ventures later on, I have a nice cushion of cash that comes in each month that'll protect me from wiping out. And it also allows me the opportunity to provide housing to people in my community, which is something that we have a big problem with in the black community as far as providing affordable housing and also quality housing. So I'm able to be a part of the solution while also helping myself out financially. And for me that's a great thing to be able to help people while helping myself. Helping myself helps people, and the more I help myself, the more I'm able to help other people. So I'm starting to do that through real estate, but also through the acquisition of different businesses. I've used some of the cash from my job to purchase a two-location car wash, and what I like to do is after at a certain point, once I'm able to have a good enough cushion by my standards, then I'll pursue the car wash fully. And through the car wash, not only do I get some cash flow from the car wash and develop a uh, build equity in the car wash, but I'm also able to provide some employment for others in the community, and that's also something that's great for me. But it also, going back to the health issue, is it allows me to have a financial base in order to uh, pursue my health and make sure that my health is maintained. And not only does it feel good when you're able to help people, because that's also deals with help your ability to be you mentally stable and mentally fulfilled. So it allows me to do that, but also allows me to be financially fulfilled. And as long as I keep doing what I'm doing as far as my whole wealth building strategy, which is simply to save 30 to 50% of my income, and as I get more assets, being able to save more and more of my the income and revenue that comes into me, being able to save more and more of that to invest into more and more assets, it just becomes a point where at some point the rich become richer. And the same way with if my pattern was different than it is now, where currently I save, like I say, 30 to 50% and even up to in some months 70, 80% of my paycheck, uh, I'll be able to I'm so sorry, I lost a little train of thought. As far as the rich becoming richer and poor becoming poor, it's all due to the fact that I've developed a habit that allows me to develop wealth, which is first starting off, I got a job. When I got the job, understanding that, over time, the job would take up more and more of my time, I start to save 30 to 50% of my paycheck off top to go towards buying more assets, which would produce additional income for me. So, with that being said, uh, ah, I keep forgetting what I was. The whole thing about poor becoming poor. If you have poor habits and you spend your money on uh, things that depreciate over time. So you buy that car, but that car you bought the car at 3,500, and the car is now worth 2,500. Or you buy those rims, or you buy that speaker system, and you pay 500,000 for it, and then it's worth 50% of that when you try to sell it. When you do that, you're always in a position where you're losing. You're constantly going to be losing versus the situation that you purchase something that actually either throws you off money each month, like a rental property or a business, or even a stock with a dividend, or a mutual fund that maybe has a dividend, some sort of paper asset that has a dividend, or maybe you purchase an annuity which kicks off money to you. So either you do something like that, or you put your money into something that's going to appreciate over time. Now, typically, I don't like uh, I don't put my money into things strictly off of the idea that it'll appreciate, because it's not guaranteed. Appreciation is not always guaranteed. It doesn't, just because you bought a house doesn't mean it's going to go up. 5,000, 10,000, 20, 100,000. It doesn't mean that that'll necessarily happen. Just it's just kind of like it's kind of like playing the lottery. But if you buy a property and the rent is this much and the expenses are less than the rent, then you're almost guaranteed that it's going to be profitable for you. It's going to be a profitable venture from the moment that you bought it. So so the main point that I'm trying to get to is the fact that you need to use your asset. I mean, you need to use your job to develop financial independence. And then once you develop a certain level of financial independence, and that's the level where your the income that you're producing from all of these assets that you've acquired pays for your living expenses, then you could pursue going full time into just building your wealth. At that point, you could just quit your job, or you can or maybe if you don't want to quit your job, you could get a part-time job, or just maybe even create your own business at that point and go full-time into building your own wealth. But the first thing that one of the things I did prior to being able to even well, I actually no, I didn't do this prior to saving up to 30 to 50%. But after I saved up to 30 to 50%, I wanted to see how much I could exactly save. So what I started doing was I needed to understand what I was spending, and need to understand at what level am I able to not need a job anymore? At what level of income am I not able to need a job? So what I used was a free resource. It's called mint.com, mint.com. Same, it's just mint.com. And what you can do is sign up for mint.com, and what it will do is it will track all of your expenses that you do on any sort of electronic credit cards. And even it can track cash, but you have to put in cash manually. Uh, but I use Mint to be able to figure out, how much I was spending a month and how much I was bringing in a month, because it tracked all of that through my bank accounts and through, primarily through my bank account. So when I was able to see that, I was able to see what my number is where I develop financial independence, or where I get close to financial independence, because you don't necessarily have to meet that number if you can uh, to go off and pursue other goals. But if you understand that you're covering 70% of your income, and then you go off and do your business full time, and that business only has to cover 30% of your income, you're in a much better position in case that business doesn't do what it needs to do, because you have less to make up to maintain your lifestyle. So that also, like I said, but once you are able to do this, once you use your job to pursue financial independence, then you can really focus on. You can do this in a short period of time, all depending on how you're able to, you know, control your desires and be able to save money, because that job over time is going to really pull down on your health, depending on what kind of job it is. I know my job in particular is a very uh, industrial job, so it's more blue collar work. I come in, I do something very repetitive every single day. It's not a lot of thinking on my part. It's just come in, do your job, and go home. So with my job, it's a lot more. I don't have a lot of autonomy. I don't have a lot of creativity with the job, so it's not very pleasing to me. Uh, but it has allowed me to purchase these assets in order to be able to pursue my health, and and then to pursue my wealth. So that's it for now. My name is Derek Caffe. Head over to blackriches.com. I have a lot of different articles on building wealth, different strategies to quit your job, and see you next time. Bye.